happy week 6. It's going to be October by the end of the week, which is crazy. But I wanted to review a little bit here. Some of you seem to be struggling with putting an equation into y equals mx plus b form. So I just want to do a quick review on how to do that. So let's just look really quickly. So solve the following equation. So we already know how to do this. This was something we did solving one-step equation. So we divide both sides by 5, right? 5's cancel, x equals 2. Okay, easy peasy. Now we move on to a two-step. Let's change, I don't like yellow. Okay, so here we have to subtract 2 from both sides. The 2's cancel out. We get 3x equals 6. Divide by 3. X equals 2. Okay, this is just equations. We're not looking at intercept form right now. We're just looking at equations, just a little refresher. And then let's do one more here. We're going to subtract 5 from both sides. That gives us 2x over here equals 10. Divide by 2. And x equals 5. Okay. So you guys all did awesome on your quizzes solving equations. So we're not doing much, this isn't much different. So let's look again at the slope intercept, y equals mx plus b. And remember, we identified the slope as the number before x, and we identified the y-intercept as the number after x. So our slope here, or our m, is 3. And we can write that because it's 3 and we want it to be rise over run. So I like it written as a fraction. So I like to rewrite it as 3 over 1. And whenever we have two positives, 3 and 1, we can also switch that and make them both negative. And that's just going to allow us to go different directions on our graph. So and if that's confusing to you, then don't do that. But sometimes it's easier to see that I can go up 3 over 1, or I can go down 3 into the left 1. So that just shows me that I have some different directions to go. And then if we look at our y-intercept, we can see that it is positive 4. Right? And we know when we graph this, we're going to start on the y-axis with 4, and we're going to go up 3 over 1 to the right, or we're going to go down 3 and over 1 to the left. Okay, so let's just look again here. We have our slope, which is the number in front of x, and our y-intercept, the number after x, and our slope, or our m, our slope, or m, remember as m, is -5, or I can write this as a fraction. I put -5 on the top over 1, but I can also flip it and do +5 over -1. So when the slope is negative, only one of the numbers in the fraction has to be negative. So when we graph it, we could go down down 5 to the right one, or up 5 to the left one. And that's just going to give us different spots on our graph to make our points last through the graph a little bit longer before we make a line. And then the y-intercept here is -6. So we're going to start on the y-axis and go down 6 to plot our first point. Remember, we always want to start here. Always, always, always start with the y-intercept. Okay. So let's just take a look here. We have our slope is 1/2. Our y-intercept is 1. So our m, or our slope, is 1/2, and that's positive. So I can rewrite that as -1 over -2, because it's the same thing. I can go up 1 to the right 2, or I can go down 1 and to the left 2, and that's going to stay on my line. And then our y-intercept here is +1. So we're going to start there, and we're going to graph +1 on our y-axis. Okay, so that's just a quick review. Let's put this all together. So now we have this equation, and we want it to be in y equals mx plus b form. Y has to be by itself before we can graph it. So we have to get it into y equals mx plus b with y being by itself. So what we have to do here is we have to get rid of this 3. And we're going to do that because y and 3 are being multiplied. We're just going to divide, and we have to divide every term by 3. So when we divide 3y by 3, that cancels out and it leaves us with y. So y is now by itself. When we divide 2x by 3, we're going to get a fraction. That's what we want. We want a fraction for our slope because we want it to be rise over run. So we're going to just leave it as 2/3 x. Here's where I get my 2/3 from, right here. I'm just going to leave it as 2/3 x. And then my b, 6 divided by 3, is 2. So now I am in y equals mx plus b form, and that's my answer. Okay, so my slope here, let's go back, my slope or my b, or I'm sorry, my m, my slope or my m is 2/3, again, or -2 over -3. And you don't have to write that out, just keep that in mind when you're graphing it. And then our y-intercept is +2. So I'm going to go up 2 on my y-axis, and then from there up 2 over 3 to plot my points. So again, the only difference that we have here is that we have to rearrange to get y by itself. So let's try another one, and let's graph, let's graph this one. Y is not by itself here. We have to get rid of that 5. So let's divide every term by 5. It's going to cancel our 5s out. We get y equals 4x divided by 5. I'm just going to leave that as a fraction. 4 over 5x. Because I want rise over run. My 4 is my rise, my 5 is my run. And then -10 divided by 5 is -2. So my slope again is 4 over 5, or -4 over -5, either way. And my y-intercept is -2. So again, I always start with my y-intercept. I'm going to go over to my graph and graph -2. So I'm going to go right here. I don't like that graph that much. And then I'm gonna graph my slope, 4 over 5. So I'm gonna go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm gonna put a point there. Up 4, over 5. Now, this is why I show you the negative, because now I can't move very much further up on my graph, so I can go down from my y-intercept. So I can go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, down 4, and to the left 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I put a point here. Now I have 2 points at each end of my graph. So now I can draw my line. Some of you are also forgetting to draw your lines. Make sure after you draw your points that you draw the line with arrows on both sides. And the line should go past the graph on both sides. Okay, so there's that one. And again, all we had to do differently here is get y by itself. So we just had to do some rearranging. So let's try one more together here. So here we have -2 in front of y. We can't have a number in front of y. So we're going to divide every term by -2. This is going to cancel out because -2 divided by -2 is 1. So now we get y by ourselves. 3 divided by -2, I'm going to keep that as a fraction. 3 over -2. And then 4 divided by -2 is going to give me a -2. So my slope here is either 3 over -2 or -3 over +2. Either one. But only one of them can be negative. And my y-intercept is -2. So again, I'm going to start at -2 here. And my slope is 3 over -2. So I'm going to start going up. I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, -2. That looks weird, but that's okay. And again, I can go up 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2. And it looks like I can do it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I want you to put as many points on the graph as you can. Now I can go back to my y-intercept and I can go down 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go +1, 2. And that just gives me another point on my graph to make my line a little bit better. So now it doesn't look like I can go any further. I'm going to draw as straight a line as I can through my graph with my arrows on each side. Okay. And I can check, I can see here that my slope, oops, I forgot to put my X here, I'm sorry, that my slope is negative. I go back and look at my graph, and sure enough, my graph is negative. Up here, my slope is positive. My graph is positive. So I'm good. Okay? So that's just a little refresher. I would like you guys to finish that last one, turn the notes in, and then do the following worksheet. I'm only going to give you a couple to practice, just to rearranging things and getting them in the right order. Let me know if you have any questions.